Jai Shri Mataji. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sahasrara Day to all the brothers and sisters. Let's bow down to Shri Mataji, raise our Mother Kundalini, and put Bandhan. Shri Ganesh Mantra. Let us bring our attention on our left heart. Shri Mataji, kindly come into our heart. Kindly establish the state of pure spirit within us. Let us bring our attention on our Sahasrara. Thank you, Shri Mataji, for giving us self-realization. Kindly help us to establish our realization fully. bless us with nirvichar and nirvikalp state. Let us listen to Shrimataji's speech.
We can say in 1970, 5th May, first time, the collective spirit of God opened out. So far, the blessings of God came to human beings individually as grace, and they received their self-realization individually, one by one. And the method for individual realization was just the opposite of the collective. First, they had to establish their dharma, cleanse themselves fully, desiring all the time for their salvation, putting their attention to their salvation, as they call it Ishvara Pranidhan, thinking of God, asking for His praise, and acting in a scrupulous dharmic ways to keep themselves pure. They had to control their mind, control their desires, control their action in such a manner that they absolutely kept to the center path. I mean, they could get through all that testing and immunity. I mean, they deserved then only the grace of Mother gave them realization. This pattern was on for some time. These few people who got realization did lots of wonderful things to prepare for Sahaja. They were in every field of life, but very few and unique. For example, in India and in many other places in ancient times, they discovered the unique gifts of the Mother Earth, what we call as the Swayambhus, created by themselves. These stones or stone images which were thrown out by the Mother Earth were discovered by these saints. They put shrines there, they worshipped them, and they, by worshipping, they made these images vibrate, more of vibrations, and vibrate that area. All over the world there are such stones, but only the saints could discover them. Then they established the importance of virtue in life, how virtue can give you health, wealth, and prosperity, which is glorifying and not which is degrading or which distracts you. The established schools and universities, especially in India, and today, even today in India, the families which belong to one universities carry the name of that university as their gotras. And even today, the families belonging to one gotra cannot marry. They prepared young children, educated them in such a manner that they led a very dharmic life, enjoyed their married life fully, and then they matured in such a manner that they got their realization and lived a life of complete enjoyment. Thus, they distracted the attention of people which was outside to inner, deeper values by their own example, by their own behavior, by their own style of enjoyment, by leading a very cheerful and a happy life. All this permeated a kind of confidence in God, religion, and a very good, balanced life. They have really done a great job of first building the scaffoldings of the huge, great building of Sahaja, which is going to come now. They are just like nuts and bolts in our whole working. Their desire to establish dharma was so great that complete divine force of Mahakali was working through them. Then they put it to the action, such understanding and such wisdom. Great scriptures were written by them. And for many years, thousands of years, they were the guiding lines for people. Only in the modern times, it should say about 1,000 years or so, people started doubting them. Before that, people used to doubt themselves. They used to doubt that we are not yet capable, we are not good enough, we cannot do it better, but they are perfect. Whatever they have said is all right. There was no doubting about the incarnations or about these saints, what they said. But the doubting was about themselves. that how is it that this is the good path we know, this is the real path we know, still we are going in the wrong direction. If you read the poems of those days, it's all the time. That's why, despite the desire to be good, to be upright, to be righteous, why am I roaming into wrong paths and wilderness? The writers in those days always showed that a good, righteous man was rewarded by God's blessings. But all this started toppling down with the ego developing and the superego challenging. Confusion started coming into the minds of people, and they started doubting those great realized souls instead of doubting themselves. Because they could not reach anywhere near these great saints, some of them were influenced by many satanic forces around and played into their hands and started doubting those realized people and all these great scriptures. So one side we have the doubting people, the another side the fanatics. Those who try to adhere more and more to the teachings had to become fanatics. So they became fanatics. And those who started doubting also could not show any benefits of doubting, could not convince the fanatics that they were wrong. So on one side we had fanatics and another side the doubting people. It's like standing between the two stools. The real religion in man collapsed. There cannot be a new religion. Religion is a continuous living process within us, which is our sustenance. It's like a ladder on which we climb, leaving one by one, step by step, but not leaving the ladder. All others are required. So the ultimate had to be established because of these two types of emergence. One doubting, another fanatics. Both had not known God. Both had not achieved reality. And they criticized each other because both of them did not know what truth was. I took my birth at a point where these confusions had started showing its results even on the physical plane. All imbalances of life react physically, mentally, emotionally, also spiritually. When I started looking around, I was amazed how ignorance had made people naive, like a cloud of ignorance which came on them. Formerly people had this much understanding, this much sensitivity to know what is right and what is wrong. Even if they were wrong, they knew that wrong was wrong and right was right. But in this confused state, I was born, and I knew I was to Upadi Sahasrara. So, I started my work after my first shocks. I decided not to talk about it to anyone and lead a very, very normal life of a very ordinary person. Not to be very striking. Because, like Christ, when he was born, a star came up. That's how the King Herod came to know about him. And his forces worked, and you know the story, what happened. If you are born with any striking signs, the negativity immediately finds you out. As it is, it found me out. And just after the 15th day of my birth, there was a very big accident, as you know. I had to really work very hard to enter into your being, to find out the different permutations and combinations. First of all, I had to find out your basic problems. What are your basic problems are. Once you handle the basics, then you can handle the permutations and combinations. After finding the basic problems, I started finding out your permutations and combinations. And I was amazed how human beings were placed to their outside world and how they reacted to their outside world, and I identified that these permutations and combinations which formed within themselves were also capped by their other identifications, like the society in which they were born, like the nation in they were born, like the ideas that were there. All these things became much more important than the original being which is universal within you. And every individual had taken a very odd, funny, awkward type of a shape, which I didn't know how to reduce and how to bring it to proper growth level by which they start their growth. It was a very hard work. And the nights after nights I used to work while leading a very ordinary life of a very normal person. I used to deliberately behave like a very simple, ordinary student and show all my ignorance about things. But sometimes, truth has an awkward habit of slipping out, and it used to show itself. Then this working started. And one of the biggest major problems of human beings I found was the family life. And that's why I married. I wanted to study what are the problems of family life. And then I started facing these problems as if they were my own, and started understanding why people behave in this manner and that manner. Because these corrections are to be done, of course, by you, but much more by the divine force. And if I could know what are your problems, I would be able to act. Then other problems like political, economic and all these problems also, I tried to study because they became so important for human beings, which are of absolutely artificial value, but they did. So I had to see to that what makes them do this and what makes them do that. Sort of a human behavior science I had to study for years. And then as you start unfolding, or you can say unentangling or disentangling or taking out the knots of a bundle, you reach a point where all the knots are opened out and one knot is still left, you see, which is to be opened out. And that was done on the 5th of May 1970. And once that had done, the collective phenomena started working. And the greatest collective phenomena was that the Sri Chakra being on this earth could be felt through your fingers. This was never before so. Nobody felt the fingers enlightened. Nobody felt the vibrations on the fingers as such. But they felt it within themselves. Because the rising of the Kundalini and everything and the way they developed themselves inside, they were more concerned about one individual. They developed their inner being much more than their collective being. But now, because the Sahasrara of the universe was opened out, everybody started feeling the vibrations around them with their own hands. That means the chakras themselves were feeling. Before, now the fingers which are manifested from the power of a particular chakra or chakras could feel the vibrations. That means the sensitivity of the divine which was in the chakras spread out to peripheries to such an extent that a human being could feel it on the fingers. This was fantastic. So, my job was to move from the center to the periphery. While moving that, whatever are the obstacles I met, I had to clear them out, one after another. And then once all the obstacles are cleared out and all the network is properly done, then to generate the energy through this happening of Sahasrara. So you can imagine how important is this day. Now this one is for myself. I don't know how many of you really know how much the divine had to work, and how many of you are really thankful to the divine for this tremendous work which was done through ages, and now especially for these 47 years of my life. Relentlessly it worked, keeping up the facade of a very normal, ordinary person. Because it had to reach to the ordinary, not to the extraordinary, but to the ordinary. And one had to take out the extraordinary qualities in the ordinary by making them deeper. This was a tremendous task. But then I must say that the Sahaja Yoga, when it started working out, I also was given very great workers, tools of Sahaja Yoga, who took it up upon themselves as their own responsibility. And you all should be thankful to them because they really worked very hard with me.
Mahamantras.
त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री महालक्ष्मी महासरस्वती महाकाली त्रिगुणात्मिका कुण्डलिनी साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः। ॐ त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री कल्की साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः। ॐ त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री कल्की साक्षात् श्री सहस्रार स्वामिनी मोक्षप्रदायिनी माताजी श्री निर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः।
Thank you, Shri Mataji, from bottom of our heart for opening our Sahasrara and giving us self-realization and collective consciousness. Thank you, Shri Mataji, again and again. Jai Shri Mataji. Let's bow down to Shri Mataji and take Bandhan.